Hi, boys and girls. Today's social studies aim is I can form an opinion about whether a tycoon was a robber baron or a captain of industry while using text evidence to support my opinion. A tycoon is a wealthy, powerful person in business. Robber barons versus captain of industry. First, let's start with the vocabulary study. These are some definitions you'll need to know about the Gilded Age. Monopoly. Monopoly is when one business or company has complete control over ownership of a particular product or service. Industry. An industry is a group of businesses that provide a particular product or service. For example, Optimum and Verizon Fios both provide TV access. Free markets. Free markets are economic markets operated by free competition. Supply and demand. Supply is how much of something you have, and demand is how much of something people want. Put the two together and you have supply and demand. Trust. A group of people who have the legal authority to manage the business affairs of companies, including lowering costs, controlling prices, and eliminating competition. Capitalist, a person who invests money in a business. In your mind, take a moment to visualize a robber. Next, visualize a captain. Think, what do you know about robbers? And what about captains? Okay. I'm going to introduce you to the Gilded Age, which occurred in the early 1900s in the United States. The early 1900s in the United States were known as the Gilded Age. Gilded means golden. Take a moment to make a prediction about what this era was like based on its name, and write it in your notebook. You can use the sentence starter, I predict that the Gilded Age was a time of blank. Go ahead and jot your answer down. Okay. What do I need to know for this lesson? Well, during the Gilded Age, there were some well-known businessmen. They were called industrialists. Some were viewed as robbers, also known as robber barons, while others viewed as captains or captains of industry. Take a look at the cartoon. What do you notice? Who do you think the robbers are? Who do you think the captains are? Why? You can pause this video and take a closer look at it. Who were the robber barons? The definition of a robber baron is an American capitalist at the turn of the 19th century who enriched himself upon the sweat of others, exploited natural resources, or possessed unfair government influence. Some of the traits of robber barons were that they hardly cared for the working conditions and safety of their employees. They kept wages, pay, at a minimum, and they lowered wages if they felt like it. Many families didn't have money for bread. Their children were forced to work just so they could survive, and workers were forced to work unfair, long hours. Robber barons used bribery and corruption to gain support from politicians and government officials. Robber barons made it impossible for competitors to survive their businesses as they monopolized the major industries. Who are the captains of industry? A captain of industry is someone who is powerful and influential in leading an industry. Their charitable work contributes to the community. They are compassionate leaders. They use their wealth to help their communities. They wanted to improve the lives of citizens, and they influence their people in a positive way. Those are some traits of captains of industry. I use this checklist to help create my teacher model for you. Let's read the checklist, then look closely at the next two slides to see the model. I read the article about Rockefeller. I looked for evidence in the article and highlighted it. I completed the graphic organizer. I made a decision, robber baron or captain of industry. I wrote a response and supported my idea with at least 2 details from the article. As you can see, I closely read the article about John D. Rockefeller. As I read the article, I looked for evidence of positive things he did for the people, as well as negative things he may have done. Then I filled in the graphic organizer on the next page. The parts you see in green are the positive things he did. For example, he saved up enough money to start his own business selling vegetables and fruits. When the Civil War came, people needed vegetables and fruits, and he was able to sell them to the people. Something negative he did was that he demanded discounted rates from railroads if they were going to have his business. He used all these methods to reduce the price of oil to his consumers. His profits soared and his competitors were crushed one by one. Rockefeller forced smaller companies to surrender to his control. Rockefeller was a billionaire. Critics charged that his labor practices were unfair. Employees pointed out that he could have paid his workers a fairer wage and settled for being half billionaire. One positive thing he did was before his death in 1937, he gave away nearly half his fortune to churches, medical foundations, and universities. As you can see, I filled in the positives and the negatives. So Rockefeller did good things and not so good things. After I filled it in using the evidence from the article, I then decided that he is a robber baron. There's no right or wrong answer. If your opinion is different, you can check off captain of industry. All you need to do is support your answer with 2 supporting details from the text. Here's the question we're answering today. In your opinion, was your chosen industrialist a captain of industry or a robber baron? Why? In my opinion, John D. Rockefeller was a robber baron. Even though Rockefeller did some good things for the people, such as sell food during the war, he did many more negative things. For example, his influence was so powerful that other businesses were forced to shut down. And according to the article, he treated his workers unfairly, and he didn't pay them as much as he should have. So your independent task today is to choose one industrialist, either Andrew Carnegie on slide 15 or John Pierpont Morgan on slide 16. You're going to complete the graphic organizer by stopping and jotting the positive things they did, as well as the negative things they did. If you don't have a workbook, just create your own graphic organizer. Copy the graphic organizer on slide 17. Then decide if the person you chose to read about is a robber baron or a captain of industry. Write about your person. You must include 2 supporting details that tell why your person is a robber baron or a captain of industry. There is no right or wrong answer. This assignment is about forming an opinion and supporting it with evidence from the article. Here's the article on Andrew Carnegie. Here's the article on John Pierpont Morgan. Choose only one and fill out the graphic organizer in your notebook. When you're done, answer the question, in your opinion, was your person a captain of industry or a robber baron? Tell why. Give at least 2 supporting details from the article. Your exit slip is to watch the video on the last slide. Then in your own words, in your notebook, define what a robber baron is and define what a captain of industry is. Then upload a picture of all your work to Google Classroom as an attachment to this assignment. Have fun!